Ali Sihir and Indark's story from previous life, beginning. She looked with her big, shiny, chocolate-colored eyes at room, now reminiscent of a battlefield. She gathered her brown, long, curly hair and tied it up in a bun. It always bothered her. She kept taking it from her forehead. This time she must have a clear field of vision. She's done a lot of work. What did it happen to her to have to use the dark side? It brought her closer to the other guardian. She was making herself remorseful that she wanted to see him again so badly, but she's got to get it under control. Let's see, she said to herself, folding parts of the puzzle scattered over a wooden floor. It didn't look like any painting. It was something like a schematic. Black lines ran on dirty, worn-out papyrus. She matched the components, but there were a few missing. She looked around but did not see any more of the torn-out pieces of the scroll. On the floor were lying unconscious thieves who robbed the Temple of Light from a closely guarded secret, the Scroll of Existence. As guardian, she had to protect this secret so that it wouldn't come out too early. She knew the world wasn't ready for this. She would never dare to open the scroll herself, but now it was lying in front of her, and on those dark lines which intersected without preserving any logical whole were written horizontally, vertically, diagonally, and from behind the words were united in a line. He who tears the world's old strings will rise with sword and shadowed wings. A double blade, both sharp and true, will strike the fallen, not the few, the ones who lived yet died inside, whose hearts in silent pain reside. Born of nature, twofold, torn, he sees the dusk as well as morn. He comes through ruin, through despair, to heal what no one thought was there, to bring the end, yet not the fall, to offer hope denied to all, within his hands the sacred might, to weave the day into the night. And through his path the truth shall thrive. The guardians fall, but life survives. She didn't understand much from this reading, but the last sentence sowed an incomprehensible feeling in her. The guardians will be replaced by life. What does it mean? She thought. By now, however, she had to put aside her meditations because the new day raised for the world, filling her heart with encouragement to fulfill her duty towards people. She went outside the secret door and slowly got mixed up in the hustle and bustle of the street, which was filled with the life of passers-by and their everyday worries. Ahli Sihir took a breath of air, took a look at a wad of papers in her hand, the remains of the scroll of light, and thinking about how the light of the day gives the world colors, she climbed up the stairs to the temple. The building was spacious and bright. Stone pillars supported the ceiling, and wooden log walls gave the feeling of coziness despite the high vaulted ceiling. Large windows glazed with colorful stained glass windows let in a colorful range of light. Rotunda crowned with a dome in the heart of the city attracted sick and crippled people. That's the kind of people that the guardian took care of too. Usually she wouldn't leave her sanctuary, staring at the passers-by outside the window. She saw human goodness and only goodness. She helped those whose goodness was undermined. She healed them with the power of their beliefs. Her eyes could see through, and there was no escape from her eyes, offering her time to others in such a way that everyone felt understood and unique. Today, however, she returned to the battle in the inn with a thought, and after finding the thief of the scroll, she took care to recover it. But she was troubled by the fact that she had to use violence. She saw a piece of good in this thief, but she had to hurt him, because the duty prevailed. She twisted her head and looked at the play of light on the wall. After a while, however, hearing the cry of the child, she returned to her eternal tasks. He's been watching them for days. Do human demons always wear black? He was wondering, smiling slightly. That's what his world looked like, black and gray all around. He fixed the jacket and collar of his shirt, moving carefully forward. They didn't attack him. They looked at him suspiciously. His flock of spoiled souls whose dark side stolen when they were born. Still a great mystery was how and who separated these souls. Why is one born with good, another born with evil? He walked through dark alleys in the back of buildings, human settlements. He's got the smelly air of the city in his lungs. He smelled the stench of despair and anger. They aroused both disgust and excitement in him, unsatisfied desire and emptiness, which could be filled only with light. And he saw that light in her. He combed the black hair with his long fingers and pulled it back. The piercing blue eyes saw the movement from the right. However, the attacker, seeing them, gave up the attack and withdrew in a hurry. Indark walked on thinking about her. He had been thinking since he met her the last time at the next boring birth, where fate decided whether to give the newborn a light or a darkness. This time the fate chose the light, and that guardian kissed the child's forehead with a bright smile. He could see that smile through all his immortality. Again he sighed angrily with a pity that these moments were so short. The guardians only saw each other at the time of the choice of fate. Those moments were as short as the length of a look or a single sound. He entered a dark, several-store building, which he chose as his place of living. He walked through a poorly lit staircase where people, or rather human shadows and demons, stood scattered around in the corners. They covered faces in their hands, weeping, but there were also those who beat the weaker ones. Bored, he slammed the door of the apartment. He didn't turn on the light, it didn't cooperate with him. He saw perfectly well in the dark and knew every corner of the room. He sat in a chair opposite the window and looked at his city. The night was thrown around like the gaze of black eyes, but from under closed eyelids the pale light of stars was oozing. It was the only light he tolerated. He was gloating it, waiting for the sign of the next birth, for the call. In a moment, he should also look around for his victims, the demons he freed from this world, because they have already served their punishment. He observed in silence, joined his thin fingers together and supported his chin on them. She heard the call. She moved on the rush, ran through narrow streets following the voice of the call. She already stood at the right door. He was here too, in dark. The human woman gave birth in great pain. She didn't see father of the child anywhere to hold this woman's hand. The guardian of dark saw the father of the newborn staying in front of him. Well, he thought, he was a demon, she was a light. I wonder why it's similar. But suddenly he turned around. His eyes met her, and a storm of curly hair obscured the view. She was already leaning over her protégé. The birth lasted longer, so two guardians talked. "Don't come any closer, it's fate to choose," he said in a raspy voice. He hasn't talked to anyone in a long time. "Don't you want to come closer?" She turned her back, looking at him. "I prefer to stay here." "Birth is a miracle, don't you want to be a part of it?" She asked him, a little intrigued. "I'm interested only in the end result." They heard the crying, but Ahli Sihir didn't see what was born. "The boy," Indark said to her as if reading her mind. "This time I was lucky, another bad boy." He winked at her and disappeared. The guardian of the light was still looking at the tired, sweaty but happy mother. She wondered how much pain the fruit of her womb would cause this woman. The days were repeated, and the nights were the same, equally empty. At the same time, it is filled with an exciting anticipation of the next call, when their eyes meet again. A strange longing overwhelmed the guardians. Never before has light and dark greeted each other so much that the boundary between them has been blurred in a cloudy world. Indark enjoyed the view of Ahli Sihir. Sometimes they exchanged words or two. They both felt it wasn't enough. She waited for his roguish and incomprehensible eyes, and he saw in her gaze so much light and a sweet promise of peace. She saw in him a piece of something about which he forgot a long time ago. Maybe he never even found this missing element. He focused his thoughts on what she told him, the scroll of existence, and what it says on it. No more guardians? He'd breathe a sigh of relief, but she's worried about it. So he wanted to pay more attention to it. After some time, he said they had to wait for the events to happen. The next time he met her, when he mentioned it, she was sad. "So we're not supposed to do anything, just wait?" she asked. "Are you suggesting something better? Maybe this is our chance to get out of here, escape from duty." "The point is, I don't want to run away. This is my life. I'm helping people, just like I've always wanted to." He looked into her eyes and said with a bitterness which he couldn't hide, "Do you choose your fate and those human misfortunes over being with me? What's this about between us? Does it matter to you?" There was a baby crying. He kidnapped the newborn girl in his arms and said to the guardian of light, "That's a point for me. I think it's the only one in today's game." Ahli Sihir thought for hours about Indark's words. Does it have to be like this? Does she have to give up her role as guardian of light for this unknown child? And for the other guardian, was the attraction she feels more important than her duties? Would it fill the space and give as much satisfaction as bringing good and help to others? She honestly doubted, maybe just for a while. Living a life of repairing one person would lose the chance of repairing the world. But wouldn't it be worthwhile to tempt herself with this simple happiness? That was the first time that fear bloomed in her eyes. Indark, offended by Ali Sihir's behavior during subsequent meetings, only looked at her discreetly, unable to stop this reflex by taking advantage of the moment when he could see her. But she was staring at the newborn. Then she disappeared with the first baby crying, and he would go away, tormented by anger, doubt, and a deeper desire. She was like the sun when the rays rained on him. She gave him warmth, but when she walked away, he was freezing. He even got into street fights, unloading his energy on those cursed demons that blocked his way to freedom, to get rid of this unpleasant duty. He caught himself waiting for the birth of this unknown, a child of prophecy, and he watched out for him diligently for the next birth. And then, that waiting moment came. Then both the guardians saw the child. They saw him grow up years later, there following his steps. The boy walked freely between two worlds, living among demons and good people. When the rebellious nature in him grew up, he was haggling between light and darkness. He lived in half-shade and knew that his actions were watched by two guardians who had not seen each other but had seen him. They often showed up where he was. He laughed when he saw them one step apart, looking into each other's eyes and yet not seeing. Then he decided to put them together. In his dreams, he read the scroll of existence that said he could do it. He could combine dark and light, and he believed it. He knew his mission. But does the happiness of two people depend on the prophecy? He's often thought about it. Maybe it's just about these two. He tried to do what his intuition told him to do. He gathered people from both sides, good and bad, and mixed them together. He showed opposites, persuaded to recognize shades of gray, to accept the ambiguity of thoughts, show people that apart from joy there was also anger, and hatred with love were two opposites, but closer than the mouth in a kiss. And the world began to change and become more colorful. The image became blurred, without cutting off white and black with thick lines. It's like someone poured paint on a canvas. And the guardians began to see themselves, at first only the shadows, then the weak spectre of the characters, and when the contours of the world were smooth, they saw themselves in all their glory. But when he saw this new world, Indark felt there was nothing more to do, that his role was over. He was happy to meet Ali Sihir on the hill above the city, but the Guardian of Light cried. He wiped away her tears and surrounded her with his arms. "Why are you crying? Now we can be together. Let's leave the disagreements and functions. Let's start living." "I didn't choose this life. I didn't choose you." Indark took a step back and looked into the chocolate eyes. "So what did you choose?" "She chose herself and the willingness to help," the chosen one answered. "I am sorry, Guardian. I wanted to connect you two. You don't know how sorry I am. But it was interesting to see you two rubbing each other together and not being able to see each other. However, there is no place for two guardians in this world." "We will go away," Indark said, trying to meet Ahli Sihir's eyesight. "The scroll says you two can't leave, not together." The guardian of the dark, without understanding, watched as the other one uttered an unknown formula and outlined the shape with his hand. Suddenly, a small round mirror in a straight frame appeared in the arms of the speaker from nowhere. He covered them with his hand and nodded his head to Ahli Sihir. "It's time." "Forgive me, Indark," she whispered and touched his cheek with her hand. "I couldn't be with you. Maybe it would give me a momentary joy, but we are so different." There were tears flowing from her eyes. "The fact that we are different makes us one, not the opposite," he said quietly, and then turned to the man with the mirror. "Where will this take me? Will I disappear from this world?" he asked. The man nodded his head. Indark, approaching the mirror, turned on his heel and looked at Ali Sihir, adding, "You were my son." He looked at the surface of the mirror, whose smooth surface waved, and began to absorb the Guardian of Dark, to make him the Guardian of the Unnamed, destroyer of worlds.